What if I told you that the ancient Egyptians had a dark side, which they kept hidden for thousands of years? Prepare to be surprised, because scientists have made revolutionary discoveries that change everything we thought we knew about this mysterious civilization. Number 1. Mummification Tools Warehouse in Egypt. In Egypt, a team of Czech archaeologists made a surprising find in the Abu Sir cemetery, uncovering the largest embalming storehouse known to date. The discovery of a storehouse of mummification tools in Egypt has caused great surprise among archaeologists. This warehouse, found at the Abu Sir site by the Czech Institute of Egyptology at Charles University in Prague, is the largest ever discovered in the country. Located in a 26th dynasty cemetery, the warehouse contained more than 350 ceramic jars, used to store embalming materials. The jars were organized into 14 different groups, some of which contained residues of the substances used in the mummification process. Among the most notable finds are 4 limestone canopic jars, identified by their inscriptions as belonging to Re-Marinite, son of Lady Irt Turu and military commander of the Foreign Legion in Egypt. Curiously, although the jars were prepared and rituals performed, they appear to have never been used. This suggests that Re-Marinite may have recovered from a serious illness or that her relatives were not satisfied with the embalming work performed. Number 2. Tutankhamun's bed. New research suggests that King Tut may have slept in the first version of a modern camp bed. Researchers at Musashina University in Tokyo analyzed a small model of an ancient Egyptian bed and suggest it was the first 3-part folding field bed. The bed, discovered by Howard Carter in 1922, was made of 4 carved lion-shaped legs in wood, along with copper alloy drums that supported much of the weight. The elaborate shape of the legs made folding it a difficult task, but the designers used ingenious hinges to relieve stress on them. Researchers believe this bed provides insight into the expectations of the young king, who suffered from a club foot, which prevented him from walking without a cane. Despite his physical limitations, he dreamed of camping and hunting. According to Naoko Nishimoto, one of the project's researchers, although the frail king likely did not participate in long or strenuous expeditions, he loved the idea of camping and hunting. His camp bed is, in a certain sense, poetic. Visible traces of trial and error show that the craftsmen who worked on the production of the bed did not have other 3-part folding beds for reference. Number 3. Ram Heads Collection. In an excavation in early 2023 at the Temple of Ramses I at Abydos in southern Egypt, a team from New York University's Institute for the Study of the Ancient World discovered at least 2,000 mummified ram heads dating back to the Ptolemaic period, along with several other animal remains. This find provides information about the site over a period spanning more than 2 millennia. The mummified ram heads are believed to have been votive offerings, indicating continued reverence for Ramses, approximately 1,000 years after his death. The team also found a large palatial structure with walls approximately 5 meters thick dating back to the 6th dynasty of the Old Kingdom, as well as several statues, papyri, remains of ancient trees, leather garments, and shoes. Abydos, located in the governorate of Sohag, is an important archaeological site in Egypt, serving as a necropolis for early Egyptian royalty and a pilgrimage center for the cult of Osiris. Recent discoveries offer a unique opportunity to restore insight into the ancient landscape of Abydos before the construction of the Temple of Ramses. Number 4. Wenenbwinjed Mummy Mask. Tutankhamun's gold death mask is probably the most famous of its kind, but it is certainly not the only one. The exquisite funerary mask of Wenenbwinjed, a general in the army of Susinzai, is a true masterpiece. Crafted from gold and embellished with colored glass paste, the mask's eyes and eyebrows are stunning. It covered the general's face, neck, and ears, and ended at the forehead, where 6 small pierced tongues fixed it to the head. Wenenbwinjed's facial features are meticulously detailed, presenting an idealized image of the general with a slight smile. The nose is perfectly formed and the lips are narrow and full. Curiously, the ears are not symmetrical, with the left one sticking out more than the right. The general's tomb, discovered in the royal necropolis of Tanis by Pierre Montet, contained not only the golden mask but also numerous pieces of jewelry, including gold pectorals, rings, bracelets, and figurines. Among the most notable finds from the tomb were 3 delicate gold and silver bowls and a lapis lazuli statuette representing a ram. In addition, 4 canopic jars and many shapis were found outside the sarcophagus. Number 5. Human tooth. In September 2022, an extraordinary discovery was made in the European nation of Georgia, a human tooth between 1,800 and 2,000 years old. This finding reinforces the theory that Georgia was home to some of the earliest human settlements in Europe, and possibly one of the oldest outside Africa. The tooth, found in the village of Kvimo Orozmani, Manasai municipality, belongs to an early human species. This site had already provided surprising discoveries in the past, such as the discovery of a human skull more than 1 million years old in the late 1990s. Although the tooth is much younger, it is still significant, as it reinforces the hypothesis that this may have been one of the first places where humans settled after leaving Africa. However, the honor of oldest human fossil belongs to a partial jaw discovered in Ethiopia, dating back to 2.8 million years ago. This recent find in Georgia has the potential to alter our understanding of the early years of human development and its expansion outside of Africa. Number 6. Iron Age tombs in Coronaldo, Italy. In 2020, during planning for a new sports complex in the Italian town of Coronaldo, one of the most notable Iron Age tombs in Italy was discovered. Although the identity of the buried man is unknown, objects found in the tomb, including a chariot, indicate that he was a royal figure, possibly a prince or even a king. It is believed to have belonged to the Pisan culture, a tribe that lived on the Adriatic coast of Italy about 2,700 years ago. The Pisan were trading partners of the ancient Greeks, but were completely decimated by the Romans in 286 BC, resulting in the loss of their culture. A bronze helmet and butt, weapons and more than 100 ceramic vessels were found in the tomb, suggesting its high status. Number 7. Acoustic wonder of Aleppo. Iran has no shortage of beautiful ancient buildings, but few can match the beauty of Aleppo, built during the Safavid era of the Persian Empire in the early 1600s in Nakshi Jahan Square in Isfahan on the orders of Shah Abbas I. The most notable room within the palace is the music room, where the king entertained his guests and hosted royal parties and receptions. Both scientists and architects consider it a masterpiece of acoustic engineering. The double walls, with their various niches carved into the shapes of vases, are designed to absorb echoes and create a quadraphonic sound system centuries before this was possible through electrical technology. If you stood in the center of the room and clapped, you would hear no echo, despite the vast size of the chamber. This incredibly clever design allowed all guests at the king's parties to hear every note of the live musicians playing instruments such as the setar and kamancha without distortion. The niches act as sound diffusers, displaying incredible acoustic sophistication from 400 years ago. Number 8. Realistic mummy portraits. A team of archaeologists has discovered realistic portraits of mummies along with other artifacts in the ancient city of Philadelphia, Egypt. The portraits are impressively realistic and capture the appearance of the deceased. Additional artifacts were also found, such as a funerary building and a statue of the goddess Isis Aphrodite. In addition, papyri were discovered with writings in Demotic and Greek that provide information about the society, economy, and religion of the time. The owners of the portraits were likely middle class or elite due to the cost of commissioning such custom paintings. This is a historic discovery due to the rarity of the mummy portraits and the difficulty of conducting archaeological excavations in the area. Number 9. The Serapeum of Alexandria. Temples played an extremely important role in the ancient world. No matter what civilization you refer to, you will always find temples dedicated to the gods. These temples were as imposing and majestic as the gods themselves who were worshipped in them. A prominent example of this is the Serapeum of Alexandria. This magnificent temple is a clear example of a place that transcends two worlds, since, as many of you probably know, Alexandria is located in Egypt, but the temple itself has its roots in Greek culture. That's because it was located in the city's Greek quarter. The Serapeum, an ancient temple, was a very popular destination for pilgrims and tourists from all over the world. It was widely known for its incredible healing powers, which attracted people from all over seeking relief from their ailments. In addition, the temple was famous for its rituals related to fertility, which led many couples to go there to pray and ask for the blessing of having children. These examples clearly demonstrate the enormous influence and power of the temples at that time. For many, they represented the hope of getting what they wanted and, at the same time, guaranteeing themselves a better life. Number 10. King Tut's tomb. There are very few archaeological sites that are as important as King Tut's tomb, because the tomb almost single-handedly started a frenzy for Egyptian history and archaeology. King Tut's tomb was discovered in 1922 by excavators led by Howard Carter, and once they discovered it, the entire world wanted to know more. The media attention alone made it one of the most publicized archaeological sites in history, and that would lead to a lot of things happening, including mention of King Tut's curse. Shining pillars and statues associated with the governor's tomb. To be clear, some of the people who found the tomb died shortly after due to other curious circumstances, but the team themselves later admitted that they had made up the whole curse to scare away any tomb raiders who had tried to steal treasures from the tomb. The other irony of this tomb is that, despite its discovery, there are a lot of mysteries about King Tut, his reign, his history, his death, and much more that remain unanswered. For example, why was he never properly buried if he was such a beloved pharaoh? There are also some mysteries about who his parents really were and whether or not they were in a forbidden relationship. Be that as it may, this tomb is a vital piece of archaeological history and will be treasured for many years. Number 11. Hal Saflieni Hypogeum. There are a wide variety of structures that archaeologists look for in their research, depending on the civilization in question. Among these structures is the necropolis, a place used to bury the deceased as a way to honor them and keep them close to their loved ones or other members of their species. However, what makes this necropolis especially notable is the fact that it is the only known Neolithic necropolis in all of Europe. This uniqueness makes it a place of great historical and archaeological importance, providing valuable knowledge about the life and funerary practices of that time. This is especially relevant because it was discovered under the island of Malta, located in the Mediterranean Sea a short distance from the island's capital. It is a vast network of underground tunnels that houses numerous compartments. Number 12. The Temple of Edfu. The Temple of Edfu, dedicated to the falcon god Horus, is one of the best preserved temples in Egypt. Built during the Ptolemaic period, this temple impresses with its size and state of preservation. Its walls are decorated with reliefs and hieroglyphics that narrate Egyptian mythology and religious rituals associated with the cult of Horus. The hypostyle hall, with its giant columns and decorated ceilings, is one of the most impressive features of the temple. In addition to its religious importance, the Temple of Edfu is a valuable testimony of the Greek influence on Egyptian art and architecture during the Ptolemaic era. Number 13. The Silver Pharaoh. In 1940, the Frenchman Pierre Monti made an unprecedented archaeological discovery that earned the recognition of the scientific community. What he found was the tomb of the ancient Egyptian pharaoh Susnepes I. The discovery occurred in the city of Tennis, where the crypt was almost intact. Susnepes first ruled from 1039 to 991 BC. Its original name, Susenzai, means the star that appears in the beloved city of Ammon. His burial demonstrated great magnificence commensurate with his importance. In the tomb was not only the pharaoh, but also his wife, two other pharaohs before his reign, a prince and a priest. Looking at his sarcophagi, we will know that he was called the Silver Pharaoh. The outer sarcophagus was made of red granite, and the middle one was made of black granite, both of which had been reused or usurped. The mummy of Susnepes was inside a third solid silver coffin, something unusual in ancient Egypt, since having to be imported, it was a rarer and more valuable metal than gold. Additionally, the coffin had rich gold decoration, including a funerary mask. The entire outer shell was found surprisingly in very good condition. Its interior, on the other hand, was completely disintegrated, indicating that, despite the luxury, the best preparations were not made for the preservation of the body. Number 14. Canopic glasses. The mummification process of the Egyptians consisted of the extraction of the main organs and then carrying out a separate mummification process. Later, they were kept in special containers that were placed next to the mummy. We are referring to the canopic jars, a constant throughout the history of Egypt, and today they are a valuable source of information for archaeologists. They were usually closed with a flat slab since the discovery of the process, but at the beginning of the New Kingdom, the plug took the shape of the head of the deceased and of various animals. Centuries later, the head of these different vases protected the organ they contained. Additionally, it had representations of different deities. For example, Hapi had a human head and kept the liver, Msidi had a lid in the shape of a baboon's head and kept the lungs, Duamutef with a jackal-shaped lid contained the stomach. The containers were protected in a tomb by a titular goddess such as Isis, Nephthys, Selkis and Nephthys, and had to be oriented towards one of the cardinal points, as required by the ritual. In this ancient culture there was a belief that if they were not kept well, the deceased would not revive in the afterlife.